Well, here I am. It's 12:39 p.m., April 1st, of all things, huh? Well, I've come back from that sabbatical I've been talking to you guys about, and a lot of things have happened to me metaphysically. I am going to be launching a new phase in the in an important development and direction of where I'm going with my metaphysical skills. It's really important. I think people should tap into what it is I'm doing. It's going to be unusual to show you. I want to first point out though that I'm going to have to start making my videos, I guess, at home. It's not as ideal as being at the library, but you can tell that there's a noise in the background. That's the air conditioning, which I can't turn off. So just be patient. I'm going to show you some really good stuff. I've figured out a way to intensify the metaphysical development I'm going through at this point, and I think I mentioned this in a video or two back, but this I call it a skill still, because I can't control this energy coming out of me. I mean, it's everywhere now. I see it in the daylight. It depends on the background, the walls, the intensity of the lights, and it doesn't always show up. There's a flickering of light, which I always experience in the direction that I'm pointing with my fingers. Of course, Jay has mentioned, and so has Bershu Onder, that this energy comes out of our fingers, and I just simply regard whatever comes out of my fingers as belonging to Jay, and it does, actually. He wants it back when we cross over, and you guys out there who've been DNA'd, you know where I'm coming from when I talk about that. So as it gets more intense, I'm now drawn back to trying to figure out why it is that it appears like a spooky connection. What do you call it? The quantum entanglement spooky connection that Einstein's theory brought up. And there's, in fact, I should put that video link at the bottom in the comment section here to remind you of what it is I've seen. What I'm doing replicates that. I mean, I'm seeing it, this object of my fist here, and I can see it inside my chest and in my head, and it's weird. I mean, it's really weird. And there's some elements of spooky connection which I see in the expression of this energy coming out of my hand, and now my arm. It's going down my arm, both arms, and my hands are starting to feel a little bit more tense as maybe the energy is concentrating in there for whatever, but I can't escape this stuff. And when I look at this stuff and try to figure it out, like what's the real meaning? Is it that we all have? I think we all have this ability. It's just that I was able to tap into it. I've walked away from doing remote viewing. I just, for me, it's not important at this time. But the stuff is coming out of me. I mean, it surrounds me all the time. So why not? Why not? Why wouldn't I want to focus on looking at that? Well, how can I? Oh, there we go. I centered this thing a little bit. So, I'm forced to look at this in the most intimate way, which I have. So, getting back to this quantum entanglement stuff, my hand expresses light. A very faint light. I can't see it, but I can feel it. When I'm pointing my fingers out there, I can see this stuff, particularly at night when I'm doing sword fighting with this stuff from both hands. And the right hand, of course, is stronger than the left hand. Jay has mentioned that as well, and it's true. So this energy is a little tiny flicker of a bit weaker than the right hand. So now that I've got this going, I'm trying to figure out how to structure what it is I'm seeing. And what I figured out is that if I can do this by way of if I can do this by way of ASL, American Sign Language, it works perfectly. Now, you understand that my my channel is called Telepathy for the Deaf and Blind. And years and years ago, I suspected that I would be able to cultivate this energy in me in a way that could reflect a new protocol for communicating with the deaf and blind. And I think I have. The issue now is trying to capture that in a structured way so that I could pass this on to the deaf-blind community. And with the fact that Jay, has said many times that when he crosses over, we're not going to be around here for a while. So the quandary in my mind is, should I even go ahead and continue to develop this ability so it can be passed on to somebody else? And that's an issue in itself, because what I'm going to have to do is find a consultant who has a solar plexus energy center, probably like I have, and have been cranked up by Jay, of course, but to teach them what it is I can do that could be of value to their what do you call them? You don't call them patients. I'm losing it. I'm getting a little bit senile, I have to admit. I'm losing words all of a sudden, but they're customers, I guess. And it takes time to do this. Now, I've mentioned that because I'm old, I'm 73 now, and it makes me sad. Got my crank up at 65. And I wish I was younger and had all the time in the world, but I'm really feeling pressed that I have to pass this skill on to other people vis-a-vis the videos I'm producing as quick as I can. But thinking that it would take a consultant time to learn this stuff and feel it, okay, see it, may not be as long as it took me. It took me 7 years, folks. I mean, I can't believe it. And again, that's something Jay warned us about. When you're older, our brains don't grow metaphysically as it can when you're younger. So I would imagine somebody like Bershu, if I were to teach, I think she's solar plexus. If I were to teach this to Bershu and she developed this stuff, she could pass it on to anybody else, including the deaf and blind. And it just breaks my heart when I think about how this wonderful skill that I'm developing may not be passed on, may not make a difference if Jay's going to, take care of us in another 5 or 6 years, right? You understand where I'm going with that. You DNA folks understand what I mean by that. So in the meantime, what I've been doing is, again, intensifying what's going on in me by using ASL. And so I'm doing this to music, and I think I've come up now, interestingly enough, for a new way to teach American Sign Language to people, metaphysically. So my videos are going to be leaning more towards that. And in the interim of perhaps one video to another, I'll explain what it is I'm doing there in intimate detail. And I'm having a blast actually doing this. I'm conducting music vis-a-vis the ASL letters to things like the planets, Gustav Holst's Planets, or Sting, and if his songs, or just anybody. I can do this to any music, and that's what I think will be the point of me offering these training sessions, because it's so easy to communicate vis-a-vis the American Sign Language. I've learned how to communicate with my friends who are deaf in 1 week. I spell everything, okay, in ASL, and I think the world should know ASL, because there's just a whole community of really fantastic people out there who hesitate to get involved with the speaking world. And I say that from talking to one of my deaf friends. And in any case, I'm going to move forward with this and don't freak out. You're going to see a 73-year-old guy act pantomime as if he was a teenager again. But I'll explain why as we go along. So anyway, enough of that. What else is left? Oh, I bought a stack of color human anatomy books, and I'm going to be passing those out to people, and I'll talk about that and who am I going to give them to. They're incredible to look at compared to the graphic design anatomy books. And what I'd like to do eventually is to have, how long have I been going here, by the way? Oh, 10 minutes, 11 minutes, that's not too bad, huh? I want to get together somehow and all of us talk about what they see in their bodies when they see the pictures of these color photographs of the anatomy book. So anyway, I'll sort out what it is I'm exactly want to do with these books and with the people that I pass them out to. What else am I going to talk about? I don't know, this stuff with the ASL. Holy cow, I'm having such great fun. And we'll see. By the way, to produce these videos, I'll have to use the template of music, which may be copyrighted. In the deaf community, if you look at some of the channels on YouTube, they're able to sign the words to the music. And I guess they can only do that if they're not totally altogether deaf, but they can hear the music and they sign the words to it. I'm integrating words at this point, but I do just fine with spelling letters. And so this idea of it being copyrighted, that might, we'll see. When I produce my first video, we'll see how YouTube responds to that. Anyway, I'm going to head on. There's always something to say. I've got to start doing my videos, producing my videos outside now that the weather's nicer, because it's just not conducive to produce anything here inside. So stay with me, folks. You're going to be intrigued by what it is I can do. Okay, so you have a nice day. Be good, be kind, be nice, and keep some good thoughts about Jay Essex in mind, will you? I'm still feeling very sad about that. He may not have crossed over already, but it's close to at some point. In any case, take her easy.